one thing that has encouraged me was some figures today that were obtained from the Home Affairs Department under Freedom of Information revealed that undesirable killers, are there any desirable ones is the first question, suspected terrorists and spies from almost 100 countries have been deported from Australia. James, surely that's good news. Isn't this a really positive step from the government?
Well, yeah, although I have to wonder how many people have just committed a crime to get deported so they can get a ticket out on a plane somewhere and go travel. But I do think that it is a good, it's a great thing. I mean, there will be always the sooky lefties who go, oh, no, this person grew up here. Oh, this person has a family here. Oh, this person has a home here or whatever. You know, they shouldn't be deported. I know the New Zealanders, particularly in the Ardern government, especially love to push that button and say, oh, it's absolutely terrible whenever we, deport any New Zealand criminals back to New Zealand. But you know what? No, this is exactly what the government should be doing. If you do a crime here and you are not a citizen and you don't have a right to stay here, then you don't have a right to stay here. You have no right to complain. And this is something I think the government does deserve some real applause for.
That's exactly right. And I think a lot of Australians now think it should be tougher to become an Australian citizen.
Yes.
So that there's a longer time of assessment. You can talk about that in a second, Luke, but I want you to have a look at the footage of a war veteran who was attempting to help a teen that was being beaten up by a Melbourne gang of 15 people. Now, this veteran, Ben Woolley, is in the red jumper. You can probably see him on the screen as a result of the aftermath of that. This is a man who's a good Samaritan that has paid a very, very dear price. Now, how much worse is it going to get in the streets of Melbourne when gangs are attacking people coming to the rescue of others, Luke?
Absolutely appalling, Corey. We're talking here about, let me talk about the Australian character, what we stand for. It's unacceptable to think, first off, Ben is a hero. He runs on his own to a group of 15 picking on one girl. And they then turn on him and they so assault him as to render him temporarily unconscious. When he comes to, he doesn't, seek to find refuge. He goes again to protect the girl. This bloke served in our uniform. He's worn our uniform. And what we've seen there is cowardly and it's not to be tolerated. I note in the story, we're talking here about alleged Sudanese nationals. Well, I know what the answer to the question, what should happen to them, is. I think it's pretty plain for us to see. And linking that to the previous story that you and James spoke about, this is I don't know why it's freedom of information, Corey. This is a great story. I don't know of a listener of any of the shows I do that doesn't want to hear the good news that the government, if they discover someone that's here that breaks the law, does the wrong thing, we turf them out. Because, we should turf them out. But in the case of Ben, we have to look after him. He wore our uniform. And those Sudanese nationals identified in the story, ta-da, you blew it.
Look, you make an excellent point there. This is a very good news story for the government. I absolutely agree. I think the Patriots would love what Ben Woolley has done and wish they had the courage or the skills or the tenacity to do it themselves. But James, would you believe we found it very difficult today to get someone from the government to come on and talk about not the Ben Woolley incident, but about this good news story about sending criminals and killers and spies, deporting them? It's beggars belief the government wouldn't be shouting this from the rooftops.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's amazing that we had to go through an FOI request to get these numbers. But this is the sort of thing that the government should be talking about, saying, hey, we are out there protecting you. They're doing great at protecting us from coronavirus, but they're also got to protect us from criminals and undesirables. This should be a headline story. They should be pitching this story to the newspapers. Newspapers should not have to go out and get this story out of them.